Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Shri Hanuma Bhima Madhvantarkata Ramakrishna Veda Vyasatmaka Lakshmi Hayagrivaya Namaha. Namaskara of Srinivasan Pranesh to all Sajjanas. We are going through a series of discourses under the title Vedas and Unbiased View, and we are in the 19th part of this series of discourses. So in the previous part or episode, we discussed about what is Sadagama and what is Duragama. So Sadagama are the four Vedas, that is Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana Vedas, the Mahabharata, entire Pancharatra Agama, because some people have debates that the entire Pancharatra Agama is not Pramana. So to refute that, Srimadvacharya says the entire Pancharatra Agama is also Pramana, the Sadagama, and Mula Ramayana, and anything that does not conflict with this one. So the four Vedas, Mahabharata, entire Pancharatra, Mula Ramayana, all these he quoted with evidence from Brahmanda Purana, and anything that does not conflict with the above said or also Sadagama, and anything that is not in agreement with these or Duragama. This is the general definition. So we also went through the vicious Shastras that are listed by Sri Shiva, Maheshwara, to his consort Uma. The several Shastras we listed, including the Advaita. So then we also discussed on the classification of Puranas as per Padma Purana. And when it comes to Puranas, we cannot reject some Puranas as Apramana, because Srimad Acharya himself has quoted even from Tamasika Purana, like Skanda Purana, and then even Brahmanda Purana that we quoted now is from Rajasika Purana. So Tamasika, Rajasika Purana cannot be totally ignored, but the portions that are in line with the above said Sadagama, those can be accepted as Pramana, and the rest have to be left out. And then why Duragama is required, we discussed about three types of souls who have different destinies, and we discussed that both Sadagama and Duragama are required. All those things we discussed in the previous episode. So now let us get into the part 19 of this series. So after quoting what are all the Sadagama from Brahmanda Purana, so whatever Srimad Acharya, Srimadvacharya said so far, so he quotes from Vedas or Shruti. Shruti means Vedas. So he quotes from Vedas on whatever said so far. He has taken support from there, and he quoted in Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya. So from Taitriya Shruti, from Kata Shruti means Katopanishad, and then Pippala the Shruti. From all these statements are quoted in support. So from Taitriya Shruti, there is a na avedavin na manute dham bruhantam sarvanubhum atmanam samparaye iti Taitriya Shruti. So from Taitriya Shruti, Srimad Acharya quotes evidence to show that those who are not studied in the Vedas, those who have not learnt the Vedas. So Vedas means we have to include all Sadagama, not only the Vedas. So those who are not studied in the Vedas or Sadagama cannot understand or know the Paramatma. Atma means Paramatma. It means Paramatma or the Swami. Swami means the master of all. So he cannot be understood unless somebody learns the Vedas or the Sadagama. And Vedas, actually Vedas only show us Narayana, and that helps us progress towards the moksha. So without the studies in Vedas and Sadagama, primarily the Vedas, one cannot know Narayana. So there is a quote in favor of this. And then from Kata Shruti, he quotes to say that the knowledge of God cannot be obtained by mere logic or tarka, because the Tarkikas, Nayayikas and all, they give prime importance to the logic. So there are philosophies which think Tarka is very important. Through Tarka and all, we cannot know God. Only Vedas can teach us the God. And from Pipala, the Shruti, he quotes to say that God is not known via the sensual perception or the inference, and he is known via Vedas only. So like this, he goes on quoting from the Shruti, the Vedas, in support of whatever has been spoken so far. And as I already told, that is the style of Sri Madhvacharya. He quotes from Puranas, he quotes from Vedas. So he always, when he gives his opinion, he will not give any independent opinion. He will give necessary quotes from Itihasa Purana and Vedas to support what he says. And that is how, yes, all scholars should be. So one can find the truth. And he says, Srimad Acharya says, Vedas are authorless. Vedas should be accepted as the authority, and Vedas are authorless as well. So one cannot say that it is impossible to have unauthored texts or words. That is the Vedas, right? Because see, the moment we speak about eternal things to somebody, so they immediately they reject, saying that eternal things are impossible. So in our experience, so we have seen that in this world, everything is created by someone. I mean, the small objects like the pot, bulb, fan, all insentient things are created by someone. And even the mountains, rivers, people have different opinions. Some say God has created that, some say it is natural. So that there are various opinions, various debates. But in general, when we say Vedas are eternal, the words are eternal, so immediately there arises some objections for the eternity, because people think it is improbable, it is impractical to have eternal words, that is the Vedas, which will be treated as authority. That means the eternal authority. So Srimad Acharya says, one cannot say that it is improbable to have unauthored Vedas. If somebody does so, then Dharma-adharma, that is the righteousness and unrighteousness preached by the religions, will become baseless. So now, why does he say so? Because all religions preach right and wrong. There are religions which do not believe in the existence of God or God as the creator. Some say he's simply a mere witness of things. There are various philosophies, various opinions. For example, let us take Buddhism, Jainism. So they don't believe in God. And even the religions that believe in Vedas, like Sankhya and then Purva Mimamsaka, they all don't believe in God. So far, we have gone through that Narayana, the supreme God, can be known only through the Vedas and the Sadagama. But what if somebody says they don't believe in God at all? Then why should they approach the Vedas? So actually, Vedas represent God. Primarily, it represents God only in the primary sense, in the special way. Vishnu is Sarva Shabda Vachya. That is, all words represents Vishnu only. Any word, that even the names of gods like Shiva, Indra, Rudra, Agni, Skanda, everything represents Vishnu. And when we say words like Jiva, the soul, still it is said that that also represents Vishnu in the primary sense. Not because he is a soul, he cannot be treated equal to a soul, like a soul. But that is based on Adhinatva Nyaya, Tadadhinatva Nyaya. That is, say, for example, let us say uh, we want an auto. So we see some auto going on the street. and we want to call the person. So he will stop and pick up us. So how do we call? We clap hands, we say, hey, auto, stop. Right. So the auto is insentient. The auto will not stop by itself. We are not speaking to the auto. We are speaking to the auto driver only. But when he is called by the name auto, he also stops the auto and picks us. Why so? That is because of the reason, because of the nyaya, that the auto is dependent on the driver. The auto is under full control of its driver, and hence the driver is called by the name auto, but the driver is not really the auto. So likewise, so there are various discussions like this. The purport of the entire Brahma Sutras is to explain us the Sarva Shabda Vachyatva of Vishnu. That means to explain us, to prove us that all names, all words primarily represent Vishnu only, because he is the supreme God. So that is a different thing. Let us park it aside time being. But some people don't believe in God. They don't accept God. Some people don't believe in Vedas. Some people believe in Vedas, but they don't accept God. So when we say the primary purpose of Vedas is to show us the God, and the God can be known only via the Sad Agama, because he is beyond the senses. That is how we started, right? He cannot be perceived. God cannot be perceived. God cannot be inferred based on the sensual perception, because he is beyond our senses. So the only way to know God is Sadagama, and primarily the Vedas. That is how we started. So now Vedas, though in the primary sense, it speaks about God. The primary purpose of or the purpose of Vedas is to represent God. The Vedas are still the basis for everything that is beyond our senses. So, for example, Dharma-adharma, righteousness, unrighteousness. These are beyond our senses. The Dharma-adharma does not have any form. It does not have any smell. It cannot be tasted. So it is obviously beyond our sensual perception. And inference, if based on sensual perception, that will again not help in deciding the Dharma-adharma. So Dharma-adharma cannot be inferred actually. Whatever Vedas says, that is righteousness and unrighteousness. Whatever Vedas say as right, that is righteousness. Whatever Vedas say as don'ts or wrong, then that is unrighteousness. So it basically comes from the do's and don'ts in the Vedas, and the Sadagama that includes Vedas and other anything else that does not conflict with this. So when we discuss about God, some people may believe in God, some people may not believe in God. Some people may believe in Vedas, not Vedas. That means they will say Vedas are not needed to understand God, they may say. So there are several debates. So let us park this concept of God aside for some time. The question asked by Srimad Acharya, Sri Madhvacharya, has shaken the entire philosophical world and all religions, because even the religions, if it is really a religion, then whether they believe in God or not, they cannot say they don't believe in righteousness, unrighteousness. Everybody basically believes in something as right and something as wrong. Let us take Buddhism, Jainism, for example. They don't believe in God, but they still believe in righteousness, unrighteousness. Any religion, you take Islam, you take Christianity, any religion, they preach something as right and something as wrong. That is, they have the do's and don'ts. This cannot be objected by anybody. Whether what they really say as right is right only, and what they say wrong as wrong only, that is debatable. There are debates between the religions. So let that be aside. We will come to that later. But in first place, if something is to be called a religion, then that religion has to preach what is right and what is wrong. That is the do's and don'ts. The do's are called righteousness, don'ts are called unrighteousness. And this is not only by the religions, even by common people who does not have any knowledge of religion, they still go by some belief that something is right, something is wrong. Again, what they believe as right may not be right. What they believe as wrong may not be wrong. Let that be on one side. But primarily, everybody believes in something as right and something as wrong. So everybody believes in righteousness and unrighteousness. There are only two kinds of people in this world as far as I have seen. The people, those who are really righteous, and the people, those who pretend to be righteous, which are the majority. But nobody declares that they are unrighteous. So let us go to a politician. He may be corrupted, but still he will not say, he or she will not say, yes, I am corrupted, I am following unrighteousness. Like that, nobody will agree. They will still try to prove that they are righteous. Am I right? Let us take somebody who stolen something, a jewelry or something, and who is in jail. So you go and ask him whether he is a righteous person or unrighteous person. So nobody will say he is unrighteous and he likes to steal. Right? They will give some reason. For example, for instance, they may say, when I was young, means when he or she was young, they became orphan and they tried to beg for food. Nobody gave them food. So they had to survive somehow. So they started stealing. Like this, they will give some stories. So even a murderer, they also will try to say that their real intention is not to murder, but they murdered because of some enmity, because of some revenge, because of some anger or something. So some people are righteous, some people pretend to be righteous, and if some people are caught like a thief or a murderer or somebody who committed a crime, they still they are not ready to accept that they are unrighteous. Somehow they try to justify their act and try to uphold their image in the society. Whether what they say is right or wrong is different. Whatever reason a murderer gives in the court for what he has done, still he will be punished after seeing the intentions behind. And whoever has stolen the jewelry, they will also be punished in the court. They will not accept the reason that he or she was in hunger, so they had no other option. They had to steal all that. But nobody straight away declares that they are unrighteous. So what does this show? Everybody basically believes in something as right and something as wrong. Everybody believes something is righteousness, something is unrighteousness. Now, what is the basis of this righteousness and unrighteousness? Can the independent opinions of individuals be accepted as righteousness and unrighteousness? No. We need Vedas to understand what is righteousness, what is unrighteousness. Because Vedas are eternal. So righteous, unrighteousness cannot be decided by individual. And at the same time, this is similar to God, right? See, righteousness, unrighteousness cannot be perceived because it does not have form, taste, smell. These are beyond our senses, but they still exist, and they cannot be. I mean, the righteousness, unrighteousness cannot be inferred also, but they exist and they have to be accepted. So in that case, we have to decide what is the basis for this righteousness and unrighteousness. Every religion gives something as righteousness, something as unrighteousness. and the religions conflict also between them. They have the debates. So in this case, how to decide on the righteousness, unrighteousness? Now, let us take if humans are accepted as the basis for righteousness, unrighteousness. Say, for example, the Buddhists and Jains, they don't believe in Vedas, but they say their preceptors are the basis for the righteousness, unrighteousness. So, can a human or some author or some authored text, can that become the basis for righteous, unrighteous acts independent of the Vedas? This is the question. And this obviously has shaken the whole philosophical world, because if we don't accept something called eternal words as existing, then the righteousness, unrighteousness given by a religion, prescribed by a religion, cannot be established, cannot be proven as the basis. So, if eternity of the sounds, we name it as Vedas, let it be on the one side. We are first talking about the possibility of having eternal words. One cannot say the eternal words are improbable, they don't exist at all. If they say so, the religions will have no basis for their righteousness, unrighteousness. This is the point stated by Srimad Madhvacharya in the Grantha named Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya. If somebody have to claim themselves as religion, they have to preach righteousness, unrighteousness. And if they don't accept the eternal words as the basis for this, then such religions cannot establish a basis. So the righteousness, unrighteousness preached by them also cannot be established. So let us say a human has authored some text, and if a religion accepts that as the basis for righteousness, unrighteousness, that is Dharma-adharma, then that is not possible. Because how do we know Dharma-adharma? See, Dharma-adharma are beyond senses. So those cannot be perceived. And they cannot be inferred also. Because if you go independent of Vedas, inference also depends on the perception. And inference cannot be applied in the case of Dharma-adharma. So let us say somebody has not accepted the eternal sounds or the Vedas, but they believe in Dharma-adharma, then that Dharma-adharma prescribed by them, which is independent of the eternal words, should be based on the perception and inference, right? But can we establish something purely based on perception and inference? Because we can't perceive Dharma-adharma. Then how based on perception we can establish Dharma-adharma? So one who gives the Dharma-adharma should be omniscient. That is 100% knowledgeable. He should not have any nescience. That is the prime factor. Or it has to be eternal. Only two possibilities. Either an omniscient being should have given that. So when we say omniscient, then obviously that entity should know about Dharma-adharma, which is none other than God. So either God should have given the Vedas, or Vedas should be eternal. Now, humans cannot be the basis for Dharma-adharma, or the human authored texts cannot be the basis for Dharma-adharma, because we see defects in humans. From our own experience, the humans are not omniscient. They are not 100% knowledgeable. We ourselves know that we have nescience in so many things. For example, you take, I am an engineer. So if you ask me to do heart surgery, I don't know. Just a simple example. So how can we say that we know Dharma-adharma which we can't even perceive? The humans have defects like nescience, bias. So if you ask me to write a text about Dharma-adharma, then whatever is comfortable to me and whatever I think right, I will call it Dharma. And whatever is not comfortable to me, I will call it Adharma. Right? That is a human nature. So humans have bias, humans have nescience, and then humans have got cheating nature. That is lying to others to achieve something. So all such defects are found in the humans or the Purusha. Purusha means human or an entity, a Chetana Vastu. So a Purusha or humans cannot be the author of texts that preach the Dharma-adharma. So unless we accept the Vedas and the Sadagama, we all see, we can say that Mahabharata is also authored by Veda Vyasa, but that is called as fifth Veda. And we have told anything that does not conflict with the seven that were listed. Primarily, those should not conflict with the Vedas. Only then we accept that as Sadagama. So even in case of authored texts, the authored texts does not take the precedence that should match with the Vedas. If those are contradicting to the Vedas, then those will be disregarded, ignored. So that way, primarily the Vedas, which are eternal and unauthored, we should accept that as unauthored. In first place, we should accept that something called unauthored words, statements, or what we call as Vedas exist, and that becomes the basis for the Dharma-adharma. So if not accepted, then humans must have given. If you don't accept in eternity, then we should arrive at a conclusion that somebody have authored some text which becomes the basis for Dharma-adharma, which is not possible because we see in the case of humans that we have so many defects. We are not omniscient, and hence the humans cannot become the basis for preaching Dharma-adharma independent of Vedas. So next, other possibility is that the God may be author, but God, he himself declares in the text that he is not the author of Vedas and Vedas are eternal. So we will see further debates about all this. In first place, we should accept something called eternal words. If we say this eternity is not possible, then the religion that preaches, means the religion that says eternity of sounds or Vedas is not possible, but if they preach Dharma-adharma, then there is no basis for this Dharma-adharma. Those cannot be accepted as the authority. That is what is told in first place. Hence, Dharma-adharma can be preached only by the eternal Vedas. The eternal Vedas are defectless for the reason that they are not authored. See, eternal things will not have defects because it is eternal, right? So when somebody authors a text, then the author's defects are seen in the text. So when God himself authors, then there is no defect. God is omniscient. That is well established for the believers of God at least. But God says he has not authored the Vedas. We will come to that later. Why he has not authored, that we will discuss later. But God is not the author of Vedas. That is declared by God himself in the texts. And others cannot be the author of Vedas because they have defects. They are not omniscient. So in this case, we have to accept eternal Vedas just for the reason that the Vedas are eternal. They become the authority, because only in the authored texts we can see that the defects of author is found in the text as well. If there is a defect in the cause, that is seen in the effect as well. So when Vedas are unauthored or eternal, for this only reason we can say they are also authority, because the Vedas are defectless. Now, so when we say about Dharma-adharma, when we say the religion that does not accept the eternal Vedas cannot establish the basis for their Dharma-adharma, that cannot be proven as Dharma-adharma really. So is there somebody who do not even believe in this Dharma-adharma? Uh, yes, by principle, there are people who cannot accept even dharma-adharma. Those are called charuvaka. That is, charu vaka means those who deliver attractive words. Charu means attractive, vaka means words. The one who delivers attractive words. Those are the materialists. We already went through three pramanas, that is perception, inference, and agama. So these charu vaka, they believe only in perception. They don't believe in inference and they don't believe in agama. So whatever cannot be perceived, they cannot believe in it as per their own principle. In that way, they don't even believe in dharma adharma. And Sri Madhvacharya says, in first place, if you want to claim yourself as a religion, the purpose of religion is to do good to the people. In that case, a religion shall preach righteousness, unrighteousness. Whether that is right or wrong, I mean, what they say as righteousness, is it right? What they say as unrighteousness, is it right? So that is a debate between the religions. So let it be. But in first place, if somebody wants to claim their belief as a religion, then it should aim to benefit others. For that, in first place, they should believe in dharma-adharma. So somebody like Charuvaka, who says they don't even believe in dharma-adharma, cannot be fruitful to the society. They cannot do any good to the society. Instead, it will lead only to the crimes and paraspara himsa. That is, people will commit crimes to each other because they can't even believe in dharma-adharma. They don't believe in righteous unrighteousness, right? Whatever they can't see, they don't believe. Charvaka. They don't believe in Swarga Naraka. They don't believe in Punya Papa. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in Dharma-adharma. The reason is they believe only in perception. They have accepted only perception as their means of knowledge. That is the sensual perception. Anything beyond sensual perception, they don't believe in it because for them that cannot be proved because those cannot be perceived. That is their philosophy. In that case, dharma-adharma cannot be perceived. Then they have to come to the conclusion that they don't believe in dharma-adharma. So if a person does not even believe in righteousness, unrighteousness, then how can they claim themselves as a religion or philosophy? And how can they do good to the society? So they will only create chaos in the society. They will not do good to the society. Instead, that will lead to the harm in society, mutual crimes, mutual harms. So that is the Charuvaka. In next episode, I will give the background of this Charuvaka. This Charuvaka is Charuvaka philosophy. It cannot be called a philosophy at all in first place. That is why when we discuss about Charuvaka, we don't call it a debate. Debate means it has to be done between two people who believe as a minimum in inference. They don't even believe in inference. They believe only in perception. So when it comes to Charuvaka, we call it a criticism, not a debate actually. Because they are unfit for a debate. Without belief in inference, they cannot debate. And they don't accept inference. Then how can they debate? So anybody, we can see the Periyarists and then the communists. So everybody, they have derived their beliefs from this Charuvaka only. I will explain what is the belief of this Charuvaka. Then the audience themselves can understand that it matches with the principles of Periyar, communist, and all those people. So they that is the thing. But this Charuvaka philosophy, interestingly, is given by the Devaguru Brihaspatacharya, and that is adopted by the materialists of today. So it will be interesting to note how this Charuvaka was revealed to this world, and what is the reason behind that, what are their principles, and how they are debated by the Vedantins, and how Sri Madhvacharya debates them in the Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya, and push them to a situation where they have to accept dharma adharma, and there is no other go. They are pushed to such a situation by Sri Madhvacharya. But once they accept dharma adharma, then they also have to accept the eternity of the words. Otherwise, their dharma-adharma will not be true. So such philosophies are again, I'm saying that as philosophy, I'm habituated that way, but they are not a philosophy or religion, because they don't do any good to the society. In fact, in social media, all that we can see that these Periyarists and the other people, they debate with others. They quote from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vedas. They get into the debates with the believers of scriptures. But as per their own principle, they are ineligible to get into a debate because they don't believe in inference. If they get into a debate, the moment they get into a debate, by their own principle, they get defeated. So they cannot debate at all. They can simply perceive what they can perceive, and they have to keep quiet. That is what they can do as per their own principles. But people debate. That means that they are not following their own beliefs. So let us see in detail in the next episode on who are these Charuvakas, how it was revealed to this world, and all such stuff, how they are debated, everything. Let us see. So the takeaway from today's session is the biggest question asked by Sri Madhvacharya. So when we say God, some people may say, I believe in God, I don't believe in God. But any religion must essentially preach what is right and wrong. Otherwise, that is not a religion at all. So they have to preach what is righteousness, what is unrighteousness. So once they say they believe in righteousness, unrighteousness, then they have to accept something called eternal words, which will become the basis for this righteousness, unrighteousness. If they don't do so, if they argue that the eternal Vedas are not possible, then they will end up in a situation where their righteousness and unrighteousness does not have basis, or it is simply baseless. It does not have any foundation for the people to adopt it as truth and follow it, because all authors are seen having defects, and they cannot establish dharma-adharma on their own. And God is omniscient, yet God clearly says he hasn't authored the Vedas, and Vedas are eternal. So with this, let me conclude this episode. Again, we will see in the coming episode. So from this episode, we have entered into the debates in favor of eternity and the authority of the Vedas. Eternal itself means that becomes the authority also. Eternal, and just for the reason it is eternal, it is authority also. So we are going to see the debates in favor of eternity and authority of the Vedas, how the concept is objected by other philosophers and religions, how Srimad Madhvacharya debates with all these philosophical concepts or religions, and how he establishes the eternity and authority of the Vedas. So once that is established, if Vedas are established as apaurushaya, Paurusheya means authored by somebody. Apaurusheya means unauthored. So, if a Purusha has authored something, it is Paurusheya. If there is nobody involved in authoring something, if that is eternal, unauthored, then that is Apaurusheya. So once this Apaurushayatva of the Vedas is established, then Vedas becomes the basis for everything that is beyond our senses. So with this, let me conclude this session. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.